October 11th.
He actually requested the full update from the Red Sox game yesterday, so you can blame Chris.
Well,
and say you're welcome.
I mean, he's a New York guy, but he obviously wants to know what the enemy's up to. Tickets are available now at thewilbur.com. Chris, thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having me, boys. Listen, Red Sox, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm from New York because at the end of the day, America wins, and that's what matters.
Now, listen, are you one of the comedians that gets courtside seats to the Knicks?
Yes, I am. And I've been getting them for 10, 11 years because I was on a show on the network IFC that James Dolan, the owner of the Knicks, owned that network. So I started getting courtside seats when, I still had a day job, and I was getting courtside seats. So now I've been in there so long for 10 years that they give them to me, and I can sell them to anyone who wants them for a really good price.
Now, can you sell those tickets? First of all, I got so many questions now. Have you had the pleasure of meeting James Dolan?
Yes, multiple times I've had the pleasure of meeting James Dolan, and he's a very nice man, and he plays a lot of instruments.
Yes, and Jimmy Fallon had him on. Jimmy Fallon is so credible, and he had James Dolan's band on, and couldn't have been more excited. He was jumping up and down after it. It was great. They played a cover song. It was fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds like something Jimmy Fallon would do. Jump up and down, go crazy. I mean, listen, it's. I've also sat very close in Boston at the TD Garden. Last year I saw the Celtics. Last year I saw the Celtics and the Nuggets. So it was, amazing to watch. And then I got the norovirus and I vomited all over the street right outside TD Garden.
Oh, well, that's very popular with comedians now. You did the Tracy Morgan.
That's the new thing.
I was at that game. I was at that game last week, sitting right across the way from him. And my friend looked over, my friend Yannis Pappas, so I do the History Hyenas podcast with. We were sitting down there, and he goes, "I think Tracy Morgan's vomiting." I was like, "There's no way he's vomiting." And then when I look over, and I was like, "Wow, he is vomiting everywhere." And it was pretty crazy. And one thing I saw too is because I was sitting right next to the Knicks bench, it's fun to just be that close to NBA elite athletes because they're just playing in the most they're just guys like us. They're playing in the most elevated version of a men's league. That's all it is. Because they were just talking, be like, "Yo, is that Tracy Morgan vomiting everywhere?" I was like, "I think it is." And they're like, "That's crazy." And then they just started talking about what they were going to have for dinner after the game. And I was like, "Wow, it's pretty cool."
Oh, and obviously they're fetishizing it if they're thinking about dinner right after watching someone vomit on the sideline.
I mean, that's what I'm into. I like vomit on the feet. That's what I go to in my
searches. Your words to God's ears.
You love that.
Oh, yes, I'm very into that. So I've been following your career for a long time. By the way, if you want to hear maybe the best story I've heard a comedian ever tell, I'm not going to have you do it now, but there's a very famous story that Chris tells about being in school during 9/11 and his school kicking him out and his father getting involved. That is the one I saw. You were at the Comedy Cellar. It's fantastic. You're a great storyteller as well as a comedian. But I follow you, but I'm not completely sure what's going on in your life. So you had kids. You have kids with a woman. Are you married to that woman? What is the evolution of that relationship?
We're engaged. We got engaged actually just very recently on January 6th because it's a great day. And so we got engaged on January 6th. I stormed the engagement, and then
it was in honor of that, obviously.
You're right.
It was an honor. And we did it. I gave her a little Stars and Stripes engagement ring, and we have 3 kids together. We're gonna get married. We haven't picked a date yet. But, I mean, you know what? We might go all in, and I might have got engaged on January 6th and get married on September 11th. That's possible.
Listen, obviously you were able to escape prosecution for your involvement in the January 6th. So that
yes, I was able to get out of it. But now I did things backwards. A lot of people wanted to get married and have kids. I had kids and got married. I'm just Chrissy backwards.
Okay, so
I'm guessing this is all your idea. This is something that you had wanted and wished for, and just the fact that you two were together and have kids together and everything's great. I'm guessing you're the one who wanted to get married. And we're
Yes,
pushing
and,
for it.
yes. After the 100th time of waking up like Ray Liotta and Goodfellas with a gun to my face and saying, either do it or you die, I finally said, you know what? Today's a good day to do it.
Okay, so how did you manage putting this off for so long if you were just inevitably going to do it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would be one thing if you never did it, but how were you able to put this off? Because I'm divorced, and I can tell you, it's a big pain in the ass. So
Right.
being hesitant to get married is something that I could see.
Yes.
How were you able to put it off for this long?
I think, I mean, look, I kept being able to put it off. It's funny because I'm on speakerphone and my fiance's just walked into the room. So now she's looking at me at like a human gun. I put it off.
It's terrestrial radio, my dear. No one's listening. Go ahead.
Right. That's true. Yeah. So you know what happened is I kept putting it off, but then my daughter, who's 9, my oldest daughter's 9, she was like, why doesn't mommy have our last name? And I just kind of ran out of excuses. And I was like, I actually don't know anymore. And she was like, you should marry mommy and we can all be a part of it. And I was like, you know what? That's actually a great idea. Just do it. Who cares? We already have kids. You know, we've already been together 10 years. We've been through it all, ups and downs. It's like, what's the difference? You know, so
money.
Right.
Yes.
Well,
I mean, you would have to pay child support, but money, the alimony is where the real rubber hits the wall.
I got an old school father. That's why what I look like on paper is not actually what I have. I have hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash stuffed under his mattress on Staten Island.
Oh, well, that's good. Okay.
She doesn't know about, the government doesn't know about.
Is your father still with us? Is he still? He is?
As of last night, yes, but you never know the way that guy eats. You just never know. Anytime I get a call from him or his wife before 8 a.m., I'm like, here's the news. But it's usually just my stepmom being like, hey, I'm taking your dad to the hospital because he has explosive diarrhea yet again.
Okay, because you talk – this is actually funny because the way you talk about your father, I just assumed he was dead. The way that you describe his health and age.
Most people do. I mean, first of all, he was like 280 pounds. And now he's like 175, and he says that his new diet is all he does is eat half a tuna fish sandwich a day. That's like, and so he's lost over 100 pounds, and he's like, I feel good. I was like, I feel like you're dying, and you just aren't going to the doctor. And that's just what's happening.
It's the kind of weight loss where people don't go, congratulations. They go, oh dear. Yeah. It doesn't look like a healthy one, is what you're saying.
No. I have money saved for the headstone.
Okay, now is your father, based on the way you talk about him in your act and everything, has he been against you getting married? Is he, because is he like, don't do it, it's a trap? Is he that kind of guy?
No, my dad's been married 3 times, so he's just the guy. His whole thing has always been like, just let it rip. His whole thing is you think about it after. So it's not, the best advice from a dad, but it's his advice, and his whole thing is like, just do it, but everyone in my family has kind of always been like, why don't you just get married? But I don't know. I get a lot of anxiety and I overthink a lot. So I can talk myself in or out of any situation. That's just what I can do with my brain.
Okay. And so because I have the same things, so you'll tend to obsess on things and you'll catastrophize them. And that's a situation that you go through.
Yes, exactly. And then I kind of just get, stopped in my tracks. I get like, cold feet on anything. But, with the marriage, it's just like, hey, we've been together so long. I feel like it's good to do it this way because now we know, we've been together for so long. It's just we've just, been through it all. And it's about loyalty at the end of the day. It's about loyalty. And here's the thing. Here's what my dad, this is the only person in my father's life, and Jasmine, my girl's been able to do this. My father does not trust people who are from a city and then do not root for that sports team. So Jasmine's from New York, but she was rooting for the New England Patriots. And my dad is like, I don't like that. He was like, just like if you were from Boston and you were rooting for the Giants, I would be like, I can't trust you. And so she was rooting for the Patriots. And initially my dad was like, that's a bad sign. But now he's come all the way around. He says, she's the only person in my life in your life, anyone I've ever met that I can actually say, even though she's not rooting for her hometown sports team, I trust her wholeheartedly. And I said, if that's the case, we're doing it.
Well, I'm a Jets fan, and I do sports talk radio in Boston, so there is a way to coexist like that.
Yeah, but we don't. But I don't trust you, and neither does my father.
Well, I'm not from Boston.
He's not from here.
But I'm not from New York either. But my
Where
cousin,
are you from?
I'm from Detroit.
Oh God!
But my cousins, it's a beautiful city. If you've been there recently. You know it.
I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there in I think November, and I got to say it is amazing. It is awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is awesome. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Kiev this time of year.
And that's what they're doing there. There's a lot of very furry hats, and people are enjoying
Not as many places that it used to be, Chris. You know,
right.
there are entire blocks now which are habitable.
Yeah,
right.
Well, there is some nuclear fallout there, but no one has to worry about that. Yeah. No, I used to spend my mom's from Long Island, and I used to spend August there in the middle of Long Island, and my cousins were all Jet fans, so it all just ended up happening from there. The curse happened from there. So so you say you have these these obtrusive thoughts, and you would catastrophize things. Do you ever find yourself, like, when your kids are going through something like that, talking them through it, and it's like real easy to like talk someone else through it, but when it's happening to you, there's no doing it to yourself?
Yeah, I think I'm the guy. Like, I read a lot of books. I have a lot of quotes. I can go on a podcast and give advice, and then when it comes down to my life, I just melt down. 99% of the things that my advice to my kids is just please ask your mom, because I don't know. I feel like I'm in myself one of the kids, because there's a lot of times. I mean, just this morning, my daughter was like, "Can I have this?" And it was like a chocolate milk, and I was like, "You have to ask your mom. I actually don't know." Even though I'm 40 years old and I'm the father, that's the thing about being a parent. Is like you realize, like, I don't know anything. I do not have the answers. Like, I just don't know what I'm talking about ever. And I'm like, was this how my mom and dad are? And we're just really just trying to figure this out as we go, because I don't know. Like, my microwave's broken now, and it's like, well, kids, we're just not going to have hot food because I don't know how to fix it.
But it's funny, Chris, because when your kids are real young, they'll ask you questions that you can, you can answer. You can give them an answer. Why do we only see the moon at night? Okay, you may not know it scientifically, but you give them something. I find as my kids get older, and they're both teenagers now, they'll ask me something, and my gut reaction is to say, I don't know. And it might be something as simple as, why is that guy acting so badly? I don't know. I don't want to give any kind of an answer, because, like you said, the older you get to realize, the less you know, and you don't want your kids to expose you as being the idiot that you almost certainly are.
Well, the thing is, with the amount of podcasts and stuff I've done, I've already exposed myself as the idiot, so I don't have to worry about that with my kids. But I do know what you mean, and a lot of times I'll just tell my kids, the answer is within you, and walk away.
That is true.
Just look
as
deep
the Buddha
inside.
said.
Yeah.
As the Buddha said.
Yeah.
How many podcasts is your name on?
So right now, I do a podcast, and then it goes away. So I've had many podcasts, but the current one that I'm doing right now is History Hyenas with Yannis Pappas. That's a fun one. That's we make history funny, and that was like had a cult following for a while, and then we stopped it for a few years, and then we brought it back. So that's great. And I do every Sunday. I put out a video on my YouTube on Chrissy Comedy about basically like trying new material, but like not crowd work, like actually doing like the new material of the week and, talking about it and going behind the scenes a little bit, because podcasting is great, but it's just very oversaturated. Too many people are talking about too many things.
You don't say.
It's just ridiculous.
It's almost like every moron has a microphone in their living room and is talking.
Yeah, and to me, it's like, podcasting is something that I started to do like around the pandemic a little bit earlier. And I was like, but stand-up is like the actual thing that I've been doing for years and feels like the equalizer. It's like stand-up is, if you get fans to keep coming back and see you, it's because you're good at stand-up. It's like, I know someone can have a hit podcast or a TikTok or whatever and go out and sell out a comedy club or even a theater tour once or maybe twice. But if you keep doing it 3, 4, 5, 6 times year after year, it's because you stand up, and not everyone can do that. So I know that that's the thing that I've been doing the longest and the thing I love the most. And podcasting just became something to do, you know, kind of when we couldn't do it during the pandemic, and we've just kept on. But little by little, most people are just dropping their podcasts because it's just not something I was ever really passionate about, besides the history one. I love talking about history,
Right.
and I love
It's like esoteric, and it's like it's like a niche thing, and you're doing it kind of for fun. Like
I love it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That I understand. But you're right. There were a lot of garbage comics that got very, very popular, in my opinion, based on bad podcasts. So I don't know. But I've been a big fan of yours for a long time, and I do appreciate you coming. I'm sorry to make you wait.
Of course, man. All good.
Chris Distefano, he's going to be at the Wilbur Theater Thursday, which is a great place to. It's great. You played there. I'm sure you played there before.
Oh, yes, many times. I think personally, it's the best theater in the United States. In these United States, I think Wilbur is the best.
Well, Chris, I've performed there on several occasions, if I may say. So I'll tell you.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's not so great anymore, is it?
Yeah, well, listen.
Oh my God, dude.
And if I was the only one getting the check, you walk out of there with some cash.
Took the bloom right off.
I mean, there you go. October 9th, Thursday, October 9th, and Saturday, October 11th. I can't recommend more strongly going to see Chris. Go get tickets at thewilbur.com. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. It's a pleasure to talk.
All right, guys. I'll see you.
All right,
bye. Thank you.
There you go. He had podcasting in the right. He gets it. He's a good comic. So, you know,
yeah,
he gets the whole podcasting thing. All right, we'll be right back with the email.